Alicia, do you want me to record or you got it?
I just got it. We're good. Thanks. Yeah, so thanks for being, this is the not living or working on the corridor, but still having interest in it. So certainly not to say that you don't have interest or stake in these. It's just easier to have small group discussions. We are recording this session so we can put it on the website afterwards as well. And I think we'll just open it up to questions right off the bat here. And David and Hadar are here to answer the questions. So you all may unmute. We can just have a chat here. We've got about 6 or 7 folks. So if we do start talking over each other, I'll I'll moderate, but let's just chat.
I would like a little information. I live in the 3500 block of Elm Street. And are you proposing bike lanes on 35th Avenue?
Correct.
Where are you going to put them?
They will be on the north and the south side of the street on 35th, going east and west between Dahlia, eventually all the way out to Monaco.
So then, where are the people that are on those blocks going to park? Are they going to take up the sidewalks? That street is not that wide.
So most of the houses, well, there are a few houses that face that street. Many actually face the opposite street that have, side lots or alleys or garages or driveways. They don't face that street, then, and if they face, like Glencoe or Forest or Elm, then they would park on Elm.
They would park on Elm Street?
Well, so say if someone living on the corner, the southeast corner of Elm and 35th, they would park on Elm instead of in front on 35th. Or they would find their lots. Like I'm looking at a property that like right across from Fairfax, and they park all of their cars behind their property.
But some of those residents park on the street in the evenings.
Sure. So
the one that's like that area between on 35th, Elm down to like Forest. On the south side, there are a lot of apartments that face that street, and they do use that side for parking.
Understood.
In other words, they don't have parking in the back. They have to park on the street.
Well, it looks like there is some parking in the back from the access from the alleyway. So in the events that though they can't put all of their cars in those parking spots, then they would need to park on Forest or Elm or Fairfax.
So they would be able to park there. Okay, if they park on between Elm Street and Forest, how can you put a bike lane in there?
If we put a bike lane on 35th, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay, are you going to run a bike lane from 35th Avenue on Elm all the way down to Monaco?
No. Oh, on 35th, not on Elm, but between Dahlia, and Monaco, correct.
Between Dahlia and Monaco. Well, correct. That runs down 35th.
Correct.
So where are you going to put it?
On the north, on the north and the south side of the streets going east and west.
It sounds like one of the confusing things was, ma'am, that you had asked where those people would park, and David mentioned they would park on Elm and Forest, not that they would park between Elm and Forest. They would have to park on the north-south roadways there.
Right.
They would have to park on the south side?
North and the roadways that go north and south. So on Elm, on Fairfax, or on Forest.
Well, but there are apartments that face that way. I'm not understanding because I don't know how you're going to park on that street on 35th Avenue between Dahlia all the way to Monaco.
There will be no parking on 35th anymore.
You got to be kidding. Well, I don't think that's fair because there's a whole row of apartments right there between 35th and Elm and 35th and Fairfax, a whole row of apartments, and they use that front on the south side to park.
Yeah.
And there is no parking in the back of that apartment complex.
Well,
Matter of fact, that whole side of the street just about are apartments.
yeah, I can see that. And we can see from the aerial photography that they do park cars on the back side of those buildings. So there is some parking available. And and again, they would then, if there's not parking on the back of their own property, then they would then park on Fairfax or on Elm or on Forest.
That's cold blooded.
Okay, so they're going to park in the residential part of Elm and Fairfax in front of homes. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
They can't do that.
Well,
because most of the people in my block use the front of their homes to park.
So we are doing parking studies that show how much the parking is utilized. It does appear from our first efforts that there is enough room for parking, on the adjacent streets for these cars.
Well, apparently you've not done that study during the evenings.
Well, we will look and we will ensure that there is adequate parking and that, that this doesn't create an undue or, unnecessary conflicts or if there's just no capacity. But we do anticipate by the nature of the city grid and just the amount of, observed street parking being utilized. And we will go at nighttime. Typically what we do is we go midday during the week and then first thing in the morning when people haven't left for work yet. And then, at night when people have returned home from work so that we can capture when the most amount of cars will be parked on the street. And we count those spaces available and count the cars parked. And that gives us a pretty clear picture if a street can accommodate more cars or if there's just absolutely no room to budge. So
why do we need a bike lane on 35th Avenue?
You got one on 32nd.
Isn't that enough?
No. So what we're trying to do is give people options. 32nd is, a good distance away and, has different challenges to it than 35th. So 35th provides good community connectivity and, connects to parks and schools and churches. So it is a good route from a network perspective.
And daycares are in the area too. So that put our smaller children at risk by getting hit by a bike.
Well, the risk of getting hit by a bike is honestly minimal. And it's a much more substantial risk of a person getting hit by a car, especially a child getting hit by.
What about the cars hitting the bikes?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's why we do these projects is that it makes people go slower and it provides designated space on the road. And, these projects improve safety for people walking and biking by designating actual space on the road. It's much more predictable environment for someone in the car. When they see, oh, there's a bike lane, they'll be in the bike lane as opposed to, I don't know what this person's doing. He's riding all over. There's no lane on the road. Where's he going to go? Type of thing. So it helps us with predictability and safety.
So I have another question. Down on 38th and Elm, that would make a perfect bike lane because there's only apartments on the south side of that street. And that's not a lot of residential area over there. It's a lot of factories. Why can't they use that street?
Well, we could look at 38th, but again, from like a network perspective, 35th does connect to desirable places where people want to go. It's just right, block off the post office on Hudson. It goes right by Skyland Park. So it goes right by the school. So it goes where people want to go. It connects to people where they want to go.
And 38th to do the same thing.
And we actually,
it goes right past Martin Luther King Park. There's not a lot of residential area on that street.
I was just going to say, we're actually going to have to, there's somebody else with their hand raised, but I did want to mention 38th between Dahlia and Elm is going to be used as part of the Dahlia Bikeway. So I think you're absolutely right there. And it's it's a good connection right there. Thank you for your comments, though. We have noted them, and we are also posting answers to these comments on the website ultimately, just making sure that you can share them with your neighbors if you want as well. So
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Carly, you've had your hand up for a while. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll try and be quick because I don't have a question, but I live at Dexter and 36. And I just want to say I'm really excited about the bike lanes because I do bike sometimes as far as Quebec, and it's always kind of an adventure. So I'm really thrilled to hear that we're putting in bike lanes.
Awesome. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you for the comment.
What your experience as a biker in the area, is there anything that we should be looking at specifically that we may have missed that you can think of?
Not anything you guys have missed. I think if you could clear up that stop sign at 38th and Dahlia, that would be really great. Other than that, I normally take MLK, which of course has the bike lane, or sometimes I'll take 38th, but there's no bike lane there, so cars can kind of go kind of fast, or 36, which has a lot of stop signs.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you. So other folks, we probably have about 5 minutes left in here. We have 4 or 5 other folks on the call. Anybody else have comments? No. Okay, Jake, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you touch on or elaborate how the bike lane not only benefits cyclists, but how it does make it safer for pedestrians, slows down traffic to make it safer for anybody walking or just using the sidewalks and everything else in the area? Can you elaborate on, I guess, how we come to that conclusion?
Sure. Yeah. So when you look at crash data, the prevailing factor in the crash, the major reason why it happened is because people were going too fast and it didn't give them enough time to either react or anticipate. So with knowing that like speed is the major concern, anything that then reduces speed helps us avoid crashes and then therefore makes it safer. So when you reduce speed, you increase the amount of time someone has to react. You increase stopping distance. You increase visibility because you're giving more people in cars more time to see a bicyclist or a pedestrian, and people have more time to slow down when a kid darts out on a marked intersection if they're going 25 versus going 45. So all of these, and people can, someone in a car can actually make a full stop at an intersection instead of rolling through it, and then when they see, someone pop out, as opposed to like decelerating, that they're at a full stop. So all of these things are related, and there's a good body of, of research that's been done that shows the connected impacts of, striping striping streets, narrowing lane widths, and the safety benefits that come from them. So it's kind of like the road is like an ecosystem, and it's all related. And one of the first tools we have to making them safer is slowing people down.
Great, thank you, David. And I'd add that survival rates are significantly higher when people are driving. The crashes happen at slower as well. Thank you, Jake Logar. I didn't realize we had 2 Jakes in this session. So Jake Houston, please, you're off mute now.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm just curious. I know in previous meetings it's been discussed that Northeast Park Hill could use some more street lights in putting these bike lanes in. Is there any intention to do lighting along with those?
The two programs are not related, but we definitely are interested in collecting that feedback because we work closely with Excel, our provider, and when we, they do like the maintenance of many of our streetlights. So if you have specific locations in mind, that's definitely something we can look at and send our feedback to, to our partners. So we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, that'd be great. It just seems like if you're going to have increased bike traffic in that corridor, particularly at night from commuters or, others just, going to and from in the neighborhood, it would make sense to work on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, are you thinking of 35th or Dahlia or any place in particular?
I can look. I think I've got some data that from previous meetings that talk about specific corridors, but so yeah, I could probably share that with.
Great. Well, we'll towards the end of the meeting, we'll provide links and emails and phone numbers and stuff for further ways to connect. So just make sure that you take advantage of any of those that are convenient for you, and we'll make sure to collect that feedback.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Jake.
All right. Anyone else? I think we've got about 2 more minutes here. Anybody else have any comments? We want to make sure we get feedback both on the designs, what we missed, what we might not be considering, or, Carly suggested what she liked and what could be enhanced. That's great as well. And I think for the 2 folks on the call, you all are off mute as well, so you're welcome to chime in. Okay, sounds like Jessica, you have anything for this one?
Nope, I'm good, thank you.
Cool. Thanks for being here. Okay. Well, I think we have about 2 more minutes here. We're waiting to hear about the other breakout room to make sure they get their conversation wrapped up. So feel free to pipe up and speak up if you have another one, but we can just hold on a second here until we get pulled back in. And then Jake, let's see, which Jake is that? It's cut off on me. Jake L. I see your note about protected and our buffered bike lanes are always preferred as well. So David, maybe while we're waiting here, you can give a little background on how we select which type of bikeway for which roadway.
Yeah, absolutely. So typically, if there's room for a buffer, we definitely would want to include it. If there's not, sometimes we just are trying to get the basic bike lane in, and then most of our facility choices or our bikeway types are determined by vehicle volumes, how many cars are going on the road, and how fast those cars are going. So those typically set the parameters for what we're able to install.
And in at least the case of 35th, we're getting confirming information to make sure that the facility type volumes are confirmed. The facility type is what I should say, the traffic volumes. Okay, so it looks like we've got the other room is just about wrapped up. So we'll pull in, and what we're going to talk about once we get back in that room is basically just next steps and when you can expect to see some of these 2 bikeways implemented, which kind of varies by which bikeway it is. And then also give you that contact information to make sure that it's we get any additional input that you have. So you just sit tight. We'll pull you back in a second here.